Howdy, guys, and welcome to night 25 of the overnight feed recaps for Big Brother season 24. And welcome to Cliff Notes. All right, 48 hours of all kinds of exciting conversations, flips, strategy planning, everything else. Last night, not so much. You have a few of those nights. Everyone's kind of just in standby mode. We had the veto competition yesterday. We're going to talk about that. But as a result of that, until the veto ceremony comes along, people are being a little bit more chill. They got the backyard, and that always makes the strategy conversation drop a little bit. But that doesn't mean that weren't some topics that were certainly worth talking about, and some people getting very close to one another. So we're going to talk about all of that this evening. First of all, as I mentioned, we did have the veto competition yesterday. Kyle and Daniel got picked to play as a duo against Alyssa and Indy, who were on the block, and also against Monty, Joseph, and Terrence, who were the HOH and the besties. So we actually had 7 people instead of 6 playing in the veto competition yesterday. Now, apparently the competition was some sort, we didn't get to see it obviously on the live feeds, but we heard about later, some sort of rapid video that one person on each team watched, where one person watched the video and then described it to a teammate who then had to answer questions on that video. So kind of game of telephone type deal. And so that's how the game was played. So it was very much being played in duos. And the winner of the veto competition yesterday, Kyle and Daniel. Yeah, the guys picked as the final group to compete have won the veto competition. A little bit of uncertainty about whether they'll use it or not. And we'll find out later. They may not be on the same page about whether they would want to or not. We heard some conversations later in the day. It sounds like if Kyle or Daniel, either one wants to use a veto, it gets used. That one person stands up, says, I've chosen or not chosen to use a veto. Then the other person gets up and says, well, I've chosen to use it. So if either one of them wants to use a veto, it sounds like it'll get used. So we'll find out what the repercussions were of that. Now, Daniel wants Taylor out. And so I think he'll be pushing to use the veto to get Taylor and Nicole on the block, unless they're suspicious enough about plans to maybe get Nicole out instead. His worst nightmare would be use the veto, Nicole and Taylor go up, and then Nicole goes home instead. So I think at this point, he probably wants to use a veto, while Kyle might want to keep the nominations the same, save or keep Alyssa and Indy on the block and send Alyssa out the door, which it's tough. Kyle is, you can see right here, Kyle's feeling a little close to Alyssa, but he's also made it clear that he's happy to send her out the door if that's what it takes. So we don't know which way it's going to happen yet. We had some conversations overnight that we'll talk about that reflect on that a little bit. I think right now, though, I think Daniel and most of the rest of the house will get their way. They'll get Nicole and Taylor put on the block. And then it's going to be Nicole, not Taylor, that gets sent out the door. If that isn't the case, and Alyssa probably is a secondary target to be going out this week. All right, some conversations taking place overnight. We've got Monty and Joseph talking. I think it's up in the HOH room. They're talking about the fact that all the girls must be working together, because Monty's saying they're all coming up with the same statements, and it's all about Nicole, basically throwing Nicole under the bus. They've all mentioned her name as a good choice for the renomination. I think just to protect themselves a little bit, to make sure that someone goes home that's a bigger target than they are. So Monty and Joseph have actually come up with the idea. They're saying, look, let's blame our switch on how the vote's going Thursday night. Blame it on the girls. Monty's saying, I'll tell everyone that my target was always to get Taylor out. I've told everyone I want Taylor out, but when all the girls just kept coming to me over and over again saying, Nicole, we don't trust her, she's got to go and everything, Monty's going to say, based on that, I wanted to vote with the house. So, now he doesn't vote, but in terms of persuasion and everything else, they're going to try to blame on the girls why the guys have all made this switch. Again, to try to keep the leftovers alliance under the radar, and so they don't catch on to it. Pretty smart little play there. All right, we've got Daniel using Chinese checkers. Had backgammon during my season. This season, they've got Chinese checkers. He's using all the different pieces to try to figure out the alliances, who's doing what, and all of that. And he seems to have pretty much figured out the leftovers, this group working together, except for Brittany and Michael, who he still thinks are on the other side. So he's thinking the leftovers are just a group of 5, and that Brittany and Michael are still with the girls group. But even with that mistake, he's still realizing that this other group, the leftovers, control the votes this week and really can control what's happened. So he's worried about that. But because he thinks Brittany and Michael are still with them, he's thinking that Brittany could very well be the swing vote this week, which will be kind of interesting. We'll see Nicole talk to Brittany a little bit later this evening. All right, just a non-game play, but something that people in the house very, very much care about. We knew the ants had gotten into the bedrooms yesterday. Well, now the ants have invaded the kitchen. They were on the breadboard, everywhere else. So the ants are in town, and they're going to be tough to get rid of. A little inside scoop, when we had ants, we were given ant killer to deal with it. But the ant killer we were given by Big Brother, very green, very weak, very ineffective type ant killers. Give us some of the stuff we do use down here in Texas on fire ants. We could take care of those ants. The ones they gave us, not so much. So the house guest will probably be dealing with ants for the rest of the season. They're going to hate it. All right, we've got Jasmine and Nicole talking. Nicole was worried that she could get backdoored like Amira if she goes on the block. Nicole's recognizing that she's a key target this week, probably a top target. So she's worried about that. But Jasmine keeps saying, Nicole, you're going to be good. If that happens, Taylor's going out, not you. You're good. Nicole isn't necessarily believing her. She's acting like she says, but she doesn't necessarily believe her. Nicole is saying, though, that if Taylor goes home, then as the surviving person on the block, Nicole's going to go ahead and join Brittany and Michael. And it's based, Nicole has this thought that next week is going to be a double eviction where if there's 3 people on the block, 2 of them go home, 1 stays. And so she's telling Jasmine, I don't want to join up with the girls, and then 2 of us go home. If it's you and me and Turner, for example, then 1 of us has to go home. So she's saying, I want to go on the block with Brittany and Michael. That way, if 2 people go home, we can send out Brittany and Michael, and I'll still be alive. Not going to work quite that well. It's probably a moot point. We're not going to have to worry about it anyway, Nicole. But she's thinking ahead. She's thinking some kind of weird double coming up next week. All right, we got Turner not feeling well. Remember, Turner at one point said, yeah, the slop and all, I don't care about it. It's cold showers that going to kind of irritate me more than anything else. Well, he may have changed his mind a little bit after tasting that slop. He's not feeling well. He's saying that he's going to stick with pickles and liquid for the rest of the week. He's not touching that slop anymore. He's had enough of it. It can do a number on you. All right, we got Jazz. All right, here's the first of a few themes of the evening, and it's got to do with Jasmine and whether she's just a nail tech or she actually owns her nail business, which she does. She owns it, but she is upset because she thinks that most of the house now knows that she owns her nail business, and she's blaming it pretty much on Alyssa. And it's a roundabout way, but I think Brittany had said something that supposedly she heard it from Kyle, and Jasmine's assuming that Kyle heard it from Alyssa. And so now she's blaming Alyssa for the whole house now finding out about it. She's also upset because I think, if I recall, she said Amira maybe had told Joseph about it, but inflated how much money she makes. I don't know. At the end of the day, she's just upset that people are going to treat her, judge her differently, put a bigger target on the back because they know she owns a business and they're assuming that she's like a multimillionaire or something else. So she's upset. Half the evening, it seems, was spent with Jasmine either asking people, who did you hear that from? Who talked to who? Or just complaining to other people about, just because I own a business, don't treat me differently. Jasmine had a very singular focus, it seems like, in terms of a lot of her discussions. All right, we've got Alyssa talking to Kyle, and Jasmine's deal even came up with this, and Kyle saying, I don't think I told Brittany about the business. You told me, but I don't even think I told Brittany. There's a lot of people that knew. Jasmine told more people than she thinks. So yeah, I don't know that it necessarily came from Alyssa to Kyle to Brittany. The fact that she told Amira, and Kyle at one point says, look, let's just blame it all on Amira. She knew all kinds of stuff about Jasmine. Jasmine doesn't know what she told us or didn't tell us. Just blame it on Amira going on. No one is worried about this nearly as much as Jasmine is, but she's talking about it. But anyway, so they've got that conversation going on. Kyle is also telling Alyssa that, look, Alyssa's saying that she kind of maybe would be okay with Nicole going over Taylor, that she's kind of flipped a little bit on that. She doesn't necessarily want Taylor to go. She's happy with Nicole going. I think Kyle really not wanting to talk game or reveal anything. Alyssa spills a lot to Kyle. Kyle not so much back to Alyssa. And so Kyle saying, well, you say that, but I think the plan is still to still to send Taylor out the door. As far as I know, that nothing's changed. And he's saying whichever way it goes, as long as you're safe, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Well, Alyssa doesn't realize that Kyle may be a little more eager to get her out the door, not even worry about Nicole and Taylor, but he's not letting on that the true target this week is indeed Nicole. Again, they do talk a little bit about Jasmine being so upset. All right, a few more conversations that are going on. Kyle mentions to Joseph talking about the Jasmine getting upset with Alyssa, and that Indy doesn't trust. I can't remember who doesn't. None of the girls trust each other, basically. It's what it's coming out. Kyle's telling Joseph, saying, man, those girls, they are absolutely imploding at this point. They're pointing fingers at each other. They're getting upset with each other. I think we're good. I think we're good at this point in time. So we've got that. All right, now house guests did get the backyard back super early. Normally you get your backyard back midnight or so after the veto day. They got it back at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it seems like. So obviously the competition, question and answer, sitting in the booth, easy to take down because they got the backyard back early. So they're all outdoors enjoying the backyard as much as they can. All right, now we do have Jasmine talking to Monty in the kitchen, referencing an argument that took place just before, I guess, the veto competition. Jasmine's telling Monty that Indy snapped on Alyssa, that Indy told Alyssa that she can't trust her anymore, that Indy already doesn't trust Nicole. So Indy's really just not feeling it with the other girls. Again, remember Joseph saying they're all imploding? Well, here you go. Not only are they not trusting each other, but they're going to the guys and they're telling them that they don't trust each other as well. All right, we've got theme number 1, Jasmine talking about her nail business. Theme number 2, Alyssa and Kyle, showmance or not? Do they want it? Do they not? Well, I know that Alyssa wants it. I think Kyle wants it too, but I also think Kyle's resisting. So first bit of topic on that. We've got Kyle in the shower. Alyssa's outside talking to him in a towel. I thought she'd just gotten out of the shower, but I think she just come in from the pool and just was wrapped in her swimsuit. But anyway, Kyle's in the shower and Alyssa's trying to talk to him. Eventually says, you gotta go. I'm getting ready to get out of the shower. So just get out of here. So there's certainly a lot of flirting going on at this point. Kyle at one point tells Alyssa, says, look, it's taking all the discipline I've got to stay away. So just get out of here. Let me change clothes real quick. But we'll revisit that in a little bit. All right, we got Daniel and Kyle talking. Daniel's saying that Monty, Daniel's saying, man, I watched after we won that veto. Monty was so upset after the veto. Based on that, Daniel's saying, I really think that Monty maybe wanted to backdoor you and I, Kyle, this conversation with Kyle. He says, Monty was so upset, it makes me really question just who his true target was. I think we dodged a bullet right here. And Kyle said, yeah, we're safe. I'm so worried. He probably wasn't that worried, but he's certainly playing the game. And Daniel is convinced that maybe he was the target over anyone else. He's telling Kyle that Taylor is working with Taylor, that Taylor is working with Monty, that Terrence is working with Monty. So he's spilling all of his assumptions to Kyle. Daniel just doesn't still recognize just who all is involved in this leftover alliance, I think. Although he earlier kind of pegged Kyle as being with these guys. So I don't know if he's saying that just to see how Kyle responds or not. But Kyle's saying, wow, and I don't know what's going on here, Daniel. All right, we've got Taylor and Terrence in the backyard. Long conversation on a hammock. Really no game talk. It's just nice to see the two of them talking and that's just enjoying their day. Taylor feeling a lot less pressure this week right now. All right, we've got Nicole talking to Michael. She's telling Michael that she would prefer that the veto not be used. See, Nicole's seeing the writing on the wall. As much as last week, Nicole was just gung-ho, put Taylor and I on the block. I'll be the pawn, send her out the door. It's what we've got to do. Well, suddenly this week, one, she now knows that there's no huge secret power to the survivor of a block eviction. And two, I think she recognizes that she may not have the support and the votes that she thought she did. So I'll direct one at 180 degrees from last week. She's telling Michael, saying, yeah, if they don't use the veto, just keep Alyssa and Indy up there. And I'm fine with that. Yeah, you will be. I mean, she's right to not want that veto to be used. All right. At one point out in the backyard, Kyle has backed into, I think it was purely unintentional, but Kyle has backed into Jasmine's injured foot, and she's and little worried about the injury. At this rate, her foot is her ankle's never going to heal. It's going to be a long season for Jasmine in that ankle. All right, we've got Joseph and Michael and Monty and Taylor up in the HOH room checking in. Just basic conversations, rehashing everything that was talked about during the day, confirming with each other that, yeah, we're still good, right? We're still good. So just the group making sure everyone's still solid with all the plans they've got and the stories they're telling and all of that. Oh, we do have Monty talking to Taylor, telling Taylor that Jasmine had told Nicole about the Popac alliance, and Nicole played dumb about it. And Jasmine already knew that Nicole knew about this alliance. So the fact that Nicole wouldn't acknowledge it to Jasmine resulted in Jasmine now telling Monty that she thinks Nicole's lying about everything, that she can't trust her, and she wants Nicole gone as well. Again, everyone's throwing Nicole under the bus. All right, we've got Brittany and Nicole talking. Nicole is saying that Amira took advantage of Nicole's loyalty and kind of made her do some things that she didn't want to do. And it was a rough situation, and now she really regrets it. Nicole saying, if I knew everything that I know now, if I knew what you knew, Brittany, I would have voted Amira out too. I don't blame you one bit. She took advantage of me. She says that at one point that Taylor wasn't her original target, but she switched to Taylor because the rest of the house wanted it, and that she shot herself in the foot by going along with the rest of the house. Brittany talks about the fact that she really feels like she's just on the outskirts of everything. She's not acknowledging or letting on that she knows anything about this plan that took place with the leftovers. She's playing that role of, I don't know anything going on in the house. I don't have any control, and you say I'm just this lone person all by myself out here. Nicole is saying that, kind of coming forward saying, look, Brittany, at one time I might have targeted you because I didn't know everything that you knew and all that, but I get you much better. And even though I may have targeted you in the past, no more. You're good with me. I'm not putting you up. Don't worry at all. I've got your back, Brittany. Brittany knows better. Brittany knows that this is just you get pretty nice when you think you're on the block and you may be needing to count on people's votes, right? All right, we've got Monty and Michael and Kyle and Taylor and Joseph and Brittany. So all the leftovers, except for Turner, basically playing Chinese checkers in the living room, if I recall. I mean, it's just a game. There's nothing more than that. There's no game talk or anything else. But everyone on the other side, the girls, the old school, anyone who's not in this alliance should be able to see these people hanging out more and more together and laughing together, bonding together, and at least have a little bit of suspicion that maybe they're also working together. But for the most part, it seems like the other side is still a little bit oblivious to that. All right, we got a big group in the backyard patio, and then it turns into a late night dinner. So certainly no game talk, but it is interesting. Now that everyone knows about Jasmine and Turner's business, they're talking a little bit more about it, how they do it. Jasmine has ideas to have a little nail care on wheels and go to senior citizen homes on the weekend. It's actually kind of a cool idea. But she's talking about that. Turner's talking about some of the ways his business works. Nicole also is joining in saying, well, I've got a little secret as well. I work as a chef, but I used to do something else, but I can't tell you. Maybe I'll tell you during lockdown or something else. Well, there's already people that know, but she's treating it as this big secret. Terrence is talking about the fact, what does he say? That his wife owns something or other, and Terrence works as a bus driver primarily for the benefits, but he also works selling cannabis on the sides. It's just everyone revealing a lot of secrets about what maybe they didn't reveal to people earlier in the season. It's tough to maintain these secrets when you get in there. As you get to know these people, and things slip and all that. So they're just spilling a lot of beans this evening. There's also some talk about people who had to quit their jobs to be on Big Brother. We find out that Turner and Jasmine almost were on Big Brother 23 last season. Turner says he made it to the final 25. Jasmine apparently got as far as being an alternate that was sitting in sequester waiting just in case last year. So we could have seen either one of them on Big Brother 23 last year. Kind of curious to see how that game would have played out. But anyway, so some interesting conversation there. All right, we got Jasmine talking to Monty about Nicole, kind of throwing her under the bus again, saying, look, I'll let Nicole continue to talk to me and plan and make all these assumptions and suggestions and all that. But she's saying at the end of the day, though, Monty, I just don't trust Nicole. She says, but I don't want to be mean to people. So I'll let her keep on talking because I'm not a mean person. I'll just let her talk. And she's also telling us that people underestimate how well I can read people. I'm not stupid. I can read people much better than they think. All right, we got Jasmine and Nicole and Terrence in the backyard. Nicole is telling Jasmine that she talked to Brittany and that Brittany says she was originally very close to Taylor just because they gravitated towards each other because they were both outcasts, which kind of is the case. But Jasmine's saying, look, you can't be an outcast. You can only make yourself an outcast. And it's your responsibility to talk to people so that you aren't an outcast. I kind of remember some people complaining that Taylor was trying to hang around and talk to people all the time, and that irritated some people as well. But anyway, she's saying, yeah, it's your responsibility. If you're an outcast, it's your responsibility. You just need to talk to people more. Jasmine's saying that there's only so much she can do to make people feel welcome in a situation. We've got, I'll just leave it there. Nicole is saying that she is already acting like she's on the block and she's campaigning, which is why she talked to Brittany earlier in the day. Again, Brittany sees through that. I know that Brittany knows the only reason Nicole is talking to her and being nice to her is because she understands that she may need a vote. Remember, Daniel already said Brittany could be the swing vote for his Nicole. So Nicole's starting to work on Brittany a little bit. All right, we've got Monty and Joseph in the backyard. Monty is saying that Terrence had told him that Nicole had said that Michael and Brittany would have been her backdoor targets or will be her backdoor targets if she gets HOH. So just a tidbit of information there. All right, we've got Daniel and Nicole talking, comparing notes. Daniel is saying that Daniel's saying that Brittany is really mad that the others forced her to vote a certain way last week, to vote out Amira, and that Taylor is basically strong-arming the house this week. Again, this is just a sign that as much as I thought Daniel had everything figured out earlier with the Chinese checkers, he still just doesn't seem to be getting the vibe of the house, the atmosphere of the house, and who actually is running the thing. They don't realize Nicole thinks Joseph is an idiot. Joseph is playing a pretty strategic game and helping guide this leftovers alliance. They're just not getting it. All right, we've got Alyssa and Kyle. Theme number 2. I said theme number 2. Alyssa and Kyle in this showmance, maybe not type deal. Some serious flirting going on inside the house in the middle of the night. This is like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Hugging, bodies close. Alyssa kissing Kyle's arm, sucking his finger, kissing up and down a little bit. Kyle is basically shutting it down. At first, they were on the bed in the car room. Kyle jumps up, says, no, we got to shut this down. I got to shut this down. Eventually he tells her, says, look, I really like you, but I just don't want to jeopardize our games. Let's talk about it tomorrow when we're in our right mind. Let's save this for the jury house. He's doing everything he can to get this shut down, and Alyssa's just not really picking up on the message. Eventually he walks her to her room, says goodnight, gets her in there, closes the door. Kyle's got a lot of discipline to not follow through with this, because Alyssa made it very clear that she was wanting a full-blown showmance, and Kyle still, at least for now, shutting it down. So we'll see how that develops. She is going to be so hot when she finds out that he was using her for information, and now he's even still considering sending her out the door. I don't think that'll go over well. All right, we've got Daniel talking to himself. Well, we're getting done with this. Daniel's talking to himself, saying that the veto should be used, he's thinking now, because Indy and Alyssa are both votes for him, or for him and Nicole. So he would hate to get rid of either one of them. He says it has nothing to do with Taylor, personal, anything. He just needs to save the votes of those who are on the block right now. We've got Daniel and Nicole right after that in the golf room talking. They think they've got 6 votes on their side. So if Nicole and Taylor go up, they think they've got six votes to keep Nicole in the house. Well, there's a few mistakes, because I know, like Kyle, they're assuming they've got Kyle's vote, 1 or 2 others. So yeah, it's not going to work quite the way they think, but they think they've got 6 votes. They do not think that they have Michael as one of those votes. So Daniel is saying, look, I'll do what I need to do. All right, Daniel's very proud that he won the first HOH, and that he's the first HOH and veto winner. He thinks that means a lot. It does. May not mean that you make it to jury, but at least you got that going for you. But Nicole is worried that Kyle and Monty have a final two with each other, and therefore Kyle's going to be voting alongside Monty. And Daniel's saying, nah, I don't think so. I think Kyle will vote with us. I think he's one of those votes we've got. And this is why Daniel is still thinking they've got the votes to keep Nicole in the house. Nicole is much less certain because she's counting Kyle on the other side, which means she doesn't have the vote. So she's worried. Daniel, not so much. But Daniel's saying, look, I'll talk to Kyle. I'll spend all day tomorrow talking to Kyle if I need to. We will make sure that Kyle's on board so that you stick around, Nicole. It may be Kyle may be having to avoid both Daniel and Alyssa all day today. We'll see how that works out. And there you have it, guys. Lights out about 4:30 or so, Big Brother time. So again, we had the veto. There's a little bit of waiting around to see what's going to happen with how the veto is actually going to be used. We don't know for 100%. We'll find out Monday. But until then, it's just people trying to find their position, figure out who they can trust, who they can't trust, who they want to point the finger at, who's pointing the finger at them. Guys, y'all have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. I will be back tomorrow to let you know what happens overnight. And then we've got veto ceremony tomorrow, and that'll clear a lot of things up as well. Y'all have a great one, guys. Cheers, my friends. SKD. Let me try it again. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.